You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome into Bucks University. I am Nathan Marzian, joined as always by Stev, aka Bucks Breakdown. You can follow him on Twitter at Bucks_Breakdown, myself at Nathan Marzian, and the podcast at BucksU_pod. It's over. It is over. We are done with the 2025-26 Bucks season. They can't hurt us anymore. And then the bad man is gone. Doc Rivers immediately.
The bad man is gone.
Was it 15, 20 minutes after the season ended? Even? I don't even know.
Yeah, 20 minutes. Yeah.
And Doc Rivers, they announced immediately that he is, he's departing as head coach of the Bucks. And it sounds still like they're discussing possibly having him as in like a front office role, supervisor position, which based on interviews he's had recently, it sounded like that was the way they were going to go. But now it seems a little bit more up in the air. And there's been reports from The Athletic saying Doc is seemingly very open to just, stepping away from basketball and not doing anything next year. So I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. I think most Bucks fans just want him as far away from the organization as possible. But regardless, it's just nice that he is no longer the coach, and that is done, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. It's done. So obviously something they've been planning for a while because of how quickly it happened. So good to get that out of the way. We'll talk about that and then some of the early coaching candidates. I know there's different lists going on out there of possible guys to replace Doc, but give me and then we'll go into this, and then after that we're going to go into season grades for each player. We're going to go into awards and stuff like that. So we'll get into some fun stuff after that. But first, Doc Rivers gone. Give me your initial thoughts and the early candidates you like the most to replace him.
Initial thoughts, like we said, it happened pretty quick, so that was cool. I was hoping this wasn't something that was going to drag on, but I kind of tweeted about it. I think later in that night, or after it happened. But I wonder, and we even touched on it a bit last time too, kind of trying to figure out how fast this process is going to be, because we have a lottery pick. We're, going to be in the top 10, or you would hope in the top 10. So you would assume you want to make this quick. And I laid out the Suns process last season. So they had fired Bud by April 14th, and they had Jordan Ott, that's his name, right? Jordan Ott, signed to be their head coach by June 4th. Which is right around the time where pre-draft stuff is being scheduled and starting up. So that would be a date that you probably want to have your coach by. So this is going to take probably a month and a half. And, as we get closer to that, and as, things kind of start picking up for the coaching search, I'm sure we'll hear of a more, better list than the ones we've seen so far. I think the stuff we've seen right now is basically just like John Horst ties and, former or expecting NBA coaches, head coaches. So I'm not putting too much thought into any of the lists that I'm seeing come out. I don't think there's much actual reporting going on there. And I think at the end of the day, they could very well choose Taylor Jenkins, who's a name that's been floated a ton, or Darvin Ham. But I don't know if that goes hand in hand with, these guys kind of just throwing out those names. I just think those are the guys who are probably at the top of everybody's list right now because they are former head coaches.
Yeah, like you said, it doesn't feel like any of it's actual reporting in terms of the names being thrown out there. It's more just, okay, these are seemingly the best / most popular coaches available right now. And so, and then again, the guys that maybe have a connection to the organization or to John Horst, whatever, people, they get thrown around. Sean Sweeney is a name, a guy that was an assistant under Jason Kidd, right? He was under Jason
and
Kidd.
Bud. I think he was here for a few Bud years, maybe one.
So
I could be wrong.
But yeah, so he gets floated as a name out there. And then you mentioned Taylor Jenkins, probably the most popular name out there. Darvin Ham, just because he's on the staff already. Chris Quinn, an assistant from the Heat, who I think the Bucks interviewed for their coaching vacancy a couple years ago. And then
I'm pretty sure they did, yeah.
He's a popular name whenever there's positions available because he seemingly is going to be a head coach pretty soon. And then there's the recycled coaches, Tom Thibodeau, Terry Stotts. People talk about Sam Cassell just because, again, he used to play for the Bucks and stuff. It's a lot of names that you're like, I'm not super thrilled with that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens once they actually have a list and are actually officially having interviews and who they're interviewing and the type of people they seem to be interviewing. And maybe it'll be a super wide range, and I hope it is. I hope they cast a wide net and evaluate all options. I hope this isn't some narrow search that they already feel like they're predetermining who they want to hire, because that feels like what they did with Doc. And obviously that's not what I want to do. So yeah, I mean, I think everyone can kind of agree. We want this to be, I don't mind if this goes on a little long, but I want this to be extensive. I want this to be, you are taking this extremely seriously and hiring the absolute best person for the organization. And it's a big deal. I mean, we talked about this for the past couple of weeks is, yes, anyone but Doc. And yes, please just get rid of Doc Rivers. That's priority one. But you do actually have to hire someone good. This, like, I know basically anyone's going to be, yes, they're better than Doc Rivers, and we'll be happy that Doc is gone and we have whoever it is come in. We're going to be happier about that than what we were with our previous coach. But that shouldn't be the bar. The bar shouldn't be not Doc Rivers. The bar should be good, like someone that can lead an organization and be a winning coach for this team. So, yeah. Anything else you want to mention with the coaching stuff? Wasn't there? Who's the guy you were showing us clips or posting clips about?
Yeah, that's Royal Ivy, former
Buck.
That's
right. Yeah.
Former Buck, former Texas Longhorn. But he's got some coaching experience. He's been working his way around the league. He's coached under. Right now, he's in Houston under Ime. He's coached under Steve Nash and one other team that I'm forgetting the name of right now. But yeah, I liked him. He's also the coach of South Sudan, and they were in the Olympics. He was a coach for them in 2023 when they were playing in FIBA as well. So he's up and coming in the coaching ranks, and I don't know I don't know how quick that ascension happens. So maybe that's kind of wishful thinking of me. And I think again for me, he's been a fun name because there's head coaching film for him. So I've been able to watch that. While, some of these other assistant coaches who you're kind of throwing around don't, there's not a ton to go off of. And that's the tough part of, hearing the assistant coaches' names being thrown around. But you're able to watch some of that South Sudan film and kind of get a feel of what he's about. And it's cool because a lot of that FIBA film that you find on YouTube and whatnot, they do pretty good with, letting you hear the coaches. So it's been kind of cool to dive into that these past few days. And I've liked what I've seen so far.
We've mentioned this before, or at least I have, but I mean, the main things I'm looking for from a new coach, I've said for a while, obviously get Doc out of here, but I don't have someone specific that is like, I need that guy to replace him. It's just, I need someone in here. And this is obvious. I mean, I think we want them to check as many boxes as possible, but the two boxes that I really, really want to see checked. Number one, modern philosophy / analytically driven, someone that is in tune with the modern view of basketball and everything that goes along with that. One of the big issues with Doc is it just feels like he, and I guess this organization as a whole a little bit, has been stuck in 2010 era basketball, which it passes by. And so it just feels like under Doc that a lot was going on that just felt like, okay, this isn't really how you should be playing in 2026 and how a team is going to be successful in 2026. Some of it roster building, some of it coaching, but so analytic, modern mind. And then number two, I mean, I think we have to reestablish some type of defensive identity because that's obviously something that was very lost this season. And the thing that they kind of rode to that title in 2021 was the defensive identity. And I guess it could go either way. They need an identity one way or the other. I mean, they've been stuck for a couple of years now being like, they're pretty good offensively, when Giannis on the court, they're pretty good offensively, but the defense isn't great. And so, okay, you're a pretty good offense with a bad defense, that's not going to win you anything. You have to be great at one of those two things if you are going to be a truly great team or be serious about anything. So I want to have some type of identity they can establish. I guess I could go offense too, but to me, it always typically starts with defense. If you're not good on defense, it just feels like you're going to have a hard time winning basketball games consistently. A defense gives you a floor, and it feels like that's something that you can rely on a little bit easier to, especially in the playoffs and stuff. I know there's a possibility they're going into a full rebuild and this playoff talk doesn't even matter. But I don't know. When I think about winning basketball, defense first typically, and then after that, you can kind of get the players that can do enough offensively and are talented enough offensively to get you over that hump. So those two things, need a analytic modern coach, and then we need an identity one way or the other. So those are the two things I'm kind of looking for, is someone that can check both those boxes and bring both of those things.
Yeah, for sure. I think like one of the things I was touching on yesterday too, when people were asking me why I, kind of blurted out the names I did, or, what would you be looking for? I think one of the things that was easy for me to say was, I want this guy to have played somewhat recently, and not for the sake of them having played recently, but for the sake of, I think those guys may be a bit closer to understanding the modern game and how analytics kind of ties into the modern game. And I think that goes hand in hand with being on different coaching staffs, which was another kind of point I had made, is I want someone who's kind of been around and been like under a few different staffs, a few different head coaches, is because you get a different view every time, you get to a new staff. Each staff is going to use analytics differently, and not only analytics, but, just day-to-day stuff. And you just get, again, a different viewpoint every time you get to a new coaching staff. So just those two things, and kind of combining them into, this guy, we need him to understand the modern game, and we kind of need him to understand how to implement analytics and how much to implement. It doesn't have to be a ton or whatever it may be, right? You just have to understand that does play a role in, why the good teams are good and why the bad teams are bad. You know what I mean? I think that was, again, like you said, pretty clear this season, is that like there's just a disconnect. And again, like you said, a lot of it, or at least some of it, is roster construction driven. But even when this team was whole, even when this team was, they had a semblance of the full team, it just didn't feel like they were optimizing what they could optimize in, given the little room for error they had. Like, they didn't have a ton of room for error, if any at all. So it just made a lot of sense to maybe lean into some of those good, lineups that we saw, or whatever it may have been. And it just feels like they continue to stray away from that rather than lean into it when you're a team that, just doesn't have a ton of room for error. So those, few things would be what would be high on my list of priorities. I don't know if priorities is the right word, but just what I'd be looking for when, interviewing coaches.
I definitely think it's something too where, and I don't know how they typically approach this, but especially with their situation right now, I would not be worrying too much about how their style possibly fits with the current team. I would be like, I get someone who you like their style, and then you adjust the team to fit that. And the coach is, ideally going to be there long term, and someone that it's like you're gonna have to deal with different players and switching in and out and stuff. You don't want to be confined to like, oh, well, this doesn't fit Miles Turner, so we're not going to do. It's like you can interchange those pieces, and you can make moves after the fact. And we don't know, they might make huge moves, and they might, we don't know if Giannis is going to be here. We don't know how this team's going to look. But I wouldn't be worrying too much about the fit with the roster. I'd rather be like, hey, just bring in a coach you like, and then ideally we're going to change this roster a ton regardless. And again, I mean, ideally, if you're getting a good coach, it's someone that has a philosophy that can apply to many different style of rosters and isn't confined to a certain style. So yeah, all those things. Basically, you just need to ask them one question in the interview: is basketball played on a spreadsheet? And they say no, they are not there.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, so let's get into player grades for the season. We'll go one by one, and then after that we'll do awards, which I've kind of come up with some random awards to give out with some nominees, and we can kind of choose a winner from those. But first, we'll start with the grades. We can do, and you could say incomplete. There's a few guys on here that probably should be incomplete because there's just not enough of a sample to really fully judge. One of those being Giannis. Only played, 36 games?
Yeah, it was less than half, right?
It was 36 games, yeah. And I think at least one of those he left super early. So, not many games played. When he was out there, was pretty good. When he came back after that first major injury, I can't remember. The timeline's fuzzy for me. But when he came back for like the second half of the season after the All-Star break, definitely wasn't really close to his best self, in my opinion. So that definitely bumps him down as far as his on-court grade. But, I mean, he still was good overall. He still averaged 28 points a game in 28 minutes with 62% from the field. Like, he still was very good. And that first stint of the season was phenomenal. But, obviously, injuries and wasn't out there a lot. So, to me, it's incomplete. Some people, I'm not really factoring in all of the drama stuff with this. Like, that's not part of my grade. I'm more basing it just on court compared to expectation. Like, he was pretty much at expectation, just didn't play.
Yeah, I would probably say incomplete too. That first stretch of ball that we got from him was insane. I think he was on pace for like an insane, like a monster offensive year because he was going to have to carry an insane load for this team. But I think the numbers were going to be nasty at the end of the year. Nasty in a good way. But I mean, with less than half the season played, I don't think you'd have to go incomplete there, in my opinion.
Next up, these are alphabetical order, by the way. Ousmane Dieng, and this is going to be, we're basing these off of expectation going into the year / going into when we got him and how they played compared to that. So a B for Giannis isn't the same as a B for someone else. But yeah, so your thoughts on Ousmane Dieng, what would you grade him?
This is a tough one. I mean, it's tough when you're grading players that you got for Nick Richards, man. I don't know where you go with that. I give it a B. I think he played solid. I don't think he was great. I think he had an interesting end to the season. I think the numbers, they look cool on the box score, but a lot of the stuff was a bit funky. I thought he played pretty well alongside, the guys when this team was a bit more whole. Obviously, Giannis didn't play a ton with him, but I thought he was fine to good in a role. So yeah, I'll give him a B. It's, I think young player with upside for Nick Richards, can't ask for too much more than that. So I'll go B.
Yeah, I had a B as well. I can't complain too much about anything. The efficiency, a little bit poor. I know it's a weird situation, hard to judge and stuff.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, I was definitely in the first few games, I was, very, very excited. And it was like, wow, but you all kind of knew, okay, the shooting's probably going to come back down to earth. And it did. Last 24 games, shot 28.9% from three. So you kind of knew that was going to happen a little bit. And so the efficiency just wasn't great, but definitely some nice flashes. Someone that I'm interested in keeping around if it's for the right price. Nothing crazy or anything like that, but I'll give it a B. Can't really complain, and he definitely showed at least some promise, which is more than I when we got him, I really was expecting nothing. So I was like, okay, cool. At least he's shown us something. Next up, AJ Green, another kind of difficult one because I know there's this wide range of outcomes or wide range of answers that different Bucks fans would give you. So where are you putting AJ Green?
Yeah, another tough one. Man, it's weird because I had high expectations for him, but even people who didn't have high expectations for him are giving him interesting grades. So, but I think I don't know, man. B minus, like
That's what I
I
have.
don't think, yeah, I don't think you come into the year expecting too much more from AJ than really good shooting, in his right role, right? Like probably your fifth best defender in a starting lineup if he's starting, and your fifth best on ball creator basically in a if he's starting. So again, I know he had that rough stretch. I mean, he ended the year still at 40 something percent from three or whatever it was. I don't know, man. I still think in the right on the right team, he's still like your fifth or sixth best player, and I think you can win a championship with that. Like that's I still believe in him a ton. I'm not moving again. I think I said this on a previous pod. I'm just not moving my stance on him a ton, and I think that this season he had was blown way out of proportion due to how bad this team was, and for probably because this team lacked creators, right? And we had so much of Kevin Porter Jr. and Ryan Rollins having to create that, when you look at AJ Green standing there and not being able to create, it's like, man, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, why can you not put the ball on the floor? And I get it. That's a honest, and I mean, that's very true. I just don't think that was ever going to be asked of him though. So I don't know. I'm just not moving a ton off a B minus, but again, people are going to have their opinions on that.
Yeah, I had B minus as well, and a little bit disappointing that like there was those stretches where it was like, okay, this is kind of getting annoying. Like I've been defending him, and I was like, come on, like we got to do something here. I've been defending.
No, yeah, for sure.
But at the end of the day, I mean, again, it still was pretty consistently like anytime you went and looked at like a 20 game stretch, he was usually around 40 something percent from three, and yes, he'd have some 5 or 7 game stretches that were not good at all, but it was like, okay, then you expand it out a little bit, and he still then would go on a hot stretch and kind of make up for it. So I don't know. It was disappointing, but not to the point of me being like, oh, he was bad or he was way worse than I expected or anything like that. It's like he was fine. 42% from three on 7 attempts per game. If you told me that was what he would give you, I'd be like, cool. Like I wouldn't be, that wouldn't be anything way blowing my expectations away, but I'd be like, all right, that's kind of around where I would expect is a 40 something percent 3-point shooter on high volume. Okay, that's what we got. And so, yeah, definitely limited, and there's reasons to definitely criticize him. I'm not saying he's immune to any criticism, but like you said, it's not someone that I'm moving too far off of. I'd probably move my stance down just a little bit on him, but not too much. So,
yeah.
Kyle Kuzma.
Oh man.
Obviously low expectations for most coming into this season after how last season ended. I said B minus. It was a pretty good season, all things considered. Maybe I should be higher because I don't know. My expectations were low, but I also was like, he's not going to be as bad as he was last season because it was about as bad as it could be, or at least in the playoffs and stuff. You knew it was going to get a little bit better. Like, I guess maybe it's unfair of me to have like Green and Kuzma the same grade because I did have Green. Like, I had way higher expectations for Green than Kuzma. So I guess maybe then I should move Kuzma up to a B or something. But ends up with, career best efficiency numbers, 49% from the field, 34.7% from three, had a hot shooting stretch in the second half. As always, it was kind of like some weird moments, some weird games, some weird stretches where he'd have 30 one night and then have 2 the next night and all of a sudden disappear from the offense and have some really good defensive moments, some really bad defensive moments, some great playmaking moments, some super stupid moments passing and handling the ball as usual. It's just like a lot of weird stuff going on, like plenty of bad, but you at least got some good out of this season. So I don't know. I landed on like a B minus.
Yeah, this one's tough, man, because I think if if you're gonna call AJ Green inconsistent, then what the hell was Kuz? You know what I mean? Who's making $20-something million? I don't know, man. Like, on bad shooting stretches from him, is the defense and is the bench unit playmaking worth it? Like, is that still enough for you to call it what it is? I don't know, man. I think. And like we said, it was better than last year, but was it good enough to be like what on a winning team? I'd give him like a C. And again, that's harsh, but if you're making that much, I think you got to be better than Kuz was.
Yeah, that's very fair. I mean, again, I try to toe the line of like, okay, yes, he was probably a little bit better than I expected and was fine in his role, but I'm not going to go overboard and be like, oh, Kuzma was so great this season and he's perfect role player, and like it's okay.
Yeah,
Let's relax a little bit. Like there's still is a lot to be desired there. I still just I always kind of question how his game translates to actual winning basketball, because it's like a lot of times his best games are just him against bad defenders, just driving to the hoop and scoring at will against bad defenses. And it's like, well, you put him in an actual, slowed down playoff setting, it feels like it always kind of looks pretty bad. So I still just was like, I don't really think he's that much of a winning player. Hey, shout out at least to him for what Shams reported, where he told told Rollins and KPJ to like screw Doc basically.
yeah. No, I mean, good teammate throughout the entire year too. Like, I mean, he's a cool guy. Like, if he was making $5 million and even or $10 million, I think that's a decent player. But I mean,
yeah,
Giannis was out the entire year, and like he just was never able to scale it up like a $20 million player should be able to. You know what I mean? And be that real. I mean, again, you're not. I don't know how much you're gonna ask for him, but I think you would want that guy to be able to scale up a bit more efficiently and be able to maybe take that playmaking to the next level. But he's obviously just not that. And again, like if he was a $5 million player or a $10 million player, I think that changes the entire conversation. He's probably, a guy on a winning team, but just at that number, I don't think you can be. And I don't know if that should or shouldn't factor into the grade I give him.
Yeah, no, that's all fair. Pete Nance.
Sneaky Pete. Thought he had a solid year, man. I don't know how, like, did he do too much wrong? Like, I think when he got his opportunity, he was pretty solid. Like B plus, I think, if not higher.
Yeah, I said around B plus range. I mean, nothing too much to complain about. Like you said, didn't do much wrong. I thought he was better in his first stints than he was later in the season, but like still, I think he was fine.
I think too, like I think that first stint was with like him being in a eighth or ninth man's role, 10th man role. Like that's where you want to see him be a little bit better. And so I like that. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to see Pete Nance a ton with the ball and doing, crazy stuff. That's just not, it's not going to be Pete Nance ever. So yeah, I thought it was his first stretch, like you said, was a lot better than, what we've seen towards the end of the season. I know there was some flashes there, but yeah, I thought he was really solid this year. I mean, finding a player, off a two-way that you think can be a real guy, whether it, even if it is 8th, 9th, 10th guy, I think that's a win.
Yeah, the whole final month and a half basically has to be taken with a grain of salt, because it's like glorified summer league games. So it's like, okay. Next up, Kevin Porter Jr. Only played 38 games.
Wow.
He obviously got hurt opening night right away in the first quarter or second quarter of that game, and then was out until end of November. Came back, played for month and a half, 2 months, I can't remember, and then got hurt again. And so, yeah, just wasn't able to consistently stay in the rotation because of injuries. When he was out there, it was a lot of Kevin Porter Jr. when he was out there. Lot of dribbles, a lot of the ball in his hands. Some good, some bad. You got the whole experience. I'll say incomplete because it's only 38 games. Outside of when he actually was playing, I mean, it started out like it was going to be an A, and then quickly the 3-point shooting came way back down to earth. I think outside of the first week he came back in late November or early December, whenever that was. Outside of the first week, he shot 22% from three the rest of the way. And so, yeah, the efficiency wasn't great for most of the stint, but, he had a stretch that really brought those numbers up with the red hot shooting when he first came back. So mixed bag. I don't know. I think most people know how we feel about him, and just as a winning player long term and in the role he's playing, not a big fan of it. Not that it's necessarily his fault, but just if this is the role he's going to be in, probably not good for the Bucks long term. So
yeah, I think all that's fair. Like you said, didn't play a ton. The role was kind of nasty. How much of that is his fault? I don't know. Um, yeah, I mean, like we know what kind of player he is in that role. Like what we wanted to see was what does that look like in a scaled down role, and we could kind of go from there. I, it'd be harsh to. I wouldn't, maybe not harsh, but like we just know what he is in that role that he was kind of given, and they even, they amped him up too. They gave him more of a larger role. So I don't know, incomplete. It wasn't great, and yeah, I don't. Yeah, incomplete.
And I'm not gonna act like it was terrible either. I mean, he had plenty of good
Yeah,
moments.
no,
and stuff.
by no
like,
means terrible. I think.
The
Sorry, go
playmaking
ahead.
was good. Yeah, the playmaking was good. He cut down on the turnovers. He had a like he started out really poor with the turnovers and then got better with that as the season went along. So that improved. The playmaking overall was pretty good. He's a good defensive playmaker. So I think 2.2 steals a game was really good. But yeah, I mean, we've talked extensively about it. We don't really need to go too much into it.
Yeah.
Bobby Portis.
Oh man.
Mr. 46% from three, whatever it was, 45%, 45.6%. I said C plus. I mean, because it's like, again, I don't know. It's about what I expected. I'll give him a little bit of a bump because of the 3-point shooting being 45.6%. Like that, obviously, props to him. Shot the ball extremely well pretty much all season. But everything else was as expected. I mean, still too many post-ups. They were inefficient post-ups, really poor on defense, still a little bit of a black hole offensively. And so it's just like a lot of the same, but the 3-point shooting was like better than expected. So, I mean, whatever. I didn't have high expectations coming in, so I guess that affects the grade too. So,
yeah, I mean, man, C, I guess, like, again, he's at the number he's at, right? 15 million. And he didn't even eclipse what he scored last year on a night-to-night basis with Giannis playing less than half the season. This team basically having no creators. Like, that's rough, man. Like, you're not really trusted to play more than 25 minutes a game, regardless of who's in, who's out. That just doesn't sound like you're a winning player, even with you shooting 46% from three, right? Like, I don't know, like how are you still that bad with shooting those numbers? It's tough. I would probably give it a C. He wasn't great. Just never felt like he helped at all. Like even when you're like, man, we could use a Bobby game here. Just go, do your thing, and just never felt like that was what happened.
the rebounding too, kind of quietly, like I feel like it wasn't talked about much, but his rebounding numbers were down to only average 6 a game this year, and the rebounding percent, like it was only 6 a game, and he was playing basically the same amount of minutes he typically plays.
Yep.
So it went down from 8.4 last year. I mean, he had a year 9.6 a couple years ago. So it's like it was
nuts.
pretty significantly down this year. And again, that's without Giannis too. Like that, it's not. You kind of think that some of these would go up. So overall, the rebounding percentage was down a few percentage points and was the lowest it's been at since 2019. So before he came to the Bucks. So yeah, the 3-point shooting was fantastic, but outside of that, just like not a particularly great season. I think a lot of people are.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
Warming up to the idea of like, okay, like if we're going to really make any upgrades, he's probably got to be one of the guys that's traded.
2 years too late.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Taurean Prince, incomplete, but good stretch to end the season.
Dude, he's shooting piss off the ball, man. I said he was going to shoot 50% when he came back. And he started kind of rough too. So to get where he ended up finishing, but yeah, incomplete. Still, I mean, from what we've seen at the end of the year, it's like still the same guy, still does God knows what on defense and shoots the piss out of the ball. So
Yeah, like a perfectly fine regular season role player off the bench.
yeah,
Nothing more than that. So yeah. Ryan Rollins,
the Damon.
Oh man. Look,
Man,
I don't want to. I don't, and it's hard because people immediately he was great, and so then everyone was kind of like got their expectations up, and then you had some, you had obviously like some growing pains throughout the year and whatever. So then people, I think, kind of it started to seem like he was being disappointed. He was playing in a disappointing fashion for points this season. I'm like, guys, remember, like this is a guy that coming into the year we were hoping we could just be our seventh guy or whatever. And it turned into this guy is like damn near on an all-star trajectory if he keeps playing like this, which is unbelievable. So when I take a step back, and I like, again, it was not perfect at all, but when I take a step back, even having, as someone who had very high expectations going into the year, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect him to be someone that was like a legitimately really good starting level player on an NBA team right away this season. I had mentioned to you, or maybe in our group chat, that I was like, and I don't mean this to sound disrespectful because I loved Ryan Rollins. I meant this in a very positive way. Going into the year, I was like, I think I could see him in like a George Hill type of role. 2019 George Hill, who was good and like was a really good role player with the Bucks, efficient, smart, didn't hurt you much at all, was like always a positive player. That's kind of what I saw from Rollins, was like, I think this guy could be like a really nice backup guard, maybe work his way into like, yeah, he could be a starter. But for him to have this type of season was like, again, if you told anyone this at the start of the season that he would be this good, it's like impossible not to give him at least an A-. So I'm giving him an A because I just think it was about as good as you could have realistically expected. So
yeah, I think you have to be at A, man. I don't know how you kind of, again, like you said, like you're hoping, maybe this guy can be a piece off the bench. Maybe he's that fifth starter alongside Giannis. And that was probably my expectation, right? I was like, man, if he can just play well and be a guy who can play off Giannis really well, I think that guy has, legit upside. But like the on-ball playmaking stuff we've seen this year was like, I mean, that's the real deal. Like that's what you look for. And like, when guys go down, that is exactly what you want to see at the efficiency he was able to kind of, steady it out or whatever it may be. Like, that's when this stuff becomes the real deal. And like, that's when you can start to, picture what he might look like as, your second best player on the team or third best player, whatever it may be. Like, I think he's shown at the very least he can handle something like that. Whether it be as the lead guard, the secondary guard, but he's shown, I think he can be like a focal point of an offense and, play alongside guys too. Like, again, that was something I thought, even in the beginning of the year, thought he played really well alongside Giannis. And that's when he was, like a bit more off ball and doing things that I was picturing in the off season. And then he like took the on ball leap that really made this something real.
Yeah, by far the biggest bright spot of the season. And like, yeah, I again, just to me, it's like, take a step back, even if you're someone that's like, maybe a B, like he was pretty good. But it's like, no. Like, again, take a step back and think about what you thought about this guy coming into the year and what you think about him now. And it's definitely like, again, at least an A-, if not just an A. Like, it should just be an A. The efficiency, as you mentioned, I like to take on this level of role and this at this age with this level of inexperience as a lead guard and as a on-ball player, to take on this level of role and like this much increase in a role and do it while being just as efficient as you were last year and on way less volume, and being a 40-something% 3-point shooter on 6 attempts a game, being 47% from the field, 17 points a game, nearly 6 assists, 56% effective field goal, which is awesome. I mean, like, it's just crazy to me. And the on-ball stuff is nuts. I mean, I mentioned this stat, I think, on this podcast before, but all of last season, he was 5 of 18 on pull-up threes. So threes off the dribble, non-catch and shoot. So basically the ones where he's self-creating. 5 of 18 all of last year. This year he made 84. So like that part of his game, the off dribble, and I mean the 2-point numbers are way up too, but the off dribble scoring and being able to just be someone that's like, oh, like you can just put the ball in his hands and he's going to go make some plays and get some buckets and stuff. Like that's just something that going into the year I didn't expect. I was expecting this is someone who's going to just be more of a catch and shoot guy, defender, and occasionally give you some secondary ball handling maybe, but not someone who could be a primary ball handler and running an offense the way he was running an offense. Again, it wasn't perfect. There's going to be periods where he had too many turnovers and there's some growing pains, but it's like for him to be doing this at 23 years old when he's never really done it before in the NBA yet is just phenomenal. I mean, he's essentially in this role that he was playing this year, he's essentially a rookie, and it's the first time he's ever played in a role like this. And the guy just went out and had that type of season. It's like, damn, like it just gets you excited about what could be to come in the near future. Only areas for improvement for him, I mean, free throws, get to the free throw line more, and then get stronger for defense pretty much. I mean, those two things. And then I guess, cut down on the turnovers, which I think getting stronger and stuff will help that as well. But I mean,
that's a good point. Yeah.
He's got such a high floor because of the shooting and how good that is, which funny enough, like that was one of his biggest weaknesses coming into the NBA was, can he shoot? And now it's like, oh yeah, I think he can shoot.
That was, man, what a year.
Fantastic. The bright spot of the season. Without him, I mean, I don't even know what positives we could have taken away from this season without him. Like, it'd be like, I probably would have given up watching many months ago if it wasn't for Ryan Rollins. Jericho Sims, one of the great turnaround stories, because I definitely was out on him in like mid-January or something. I don't remember exactly when, and he had a great second half. So overall, I'm giving him a B, but for it to be a B after where it was a few months ago is a testament to how good he's been lately. He's shown that he really looks like a competent rotational big.
Yeah, B plus. Man, he's like, again, it's not like gaudy stuff, but like the thing with him for me was always, I think he's going to do a ton of the stuff on the margins that are really going to help this team. And it was never going to be enough to like show up in the box score. He was always going to be like the second big, but it still may be that, but I think he's shown enough to at least warrant giving him a look for maybe more. You know what I mean? On a real team, like this, whatever we saw this year was not a real team, but like on a real team, I think he should get a look to play 25 minutes because of everything that he does for, your team on the margins.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, the fact that we got back to this point, because I kind of thought this going into the season was like, I think he could be a guy on the margins. And then it went to, no, it's over. I give up. And then now it's back to, oh, wait, no, actually, I think he is pretty good. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, but I mean, it overall ended up getting to a pretty good point with Sims. So I'm realizing, so I didn't put in here the guys that left the team. Like Cole Anthony would have been number one or number two because he would have came after Giannis. So, but I mean, Cole Anthony is an F or a D minus, and then the other one that would be coming up right now alphabetically, Cam Thomas.
Ooh,
what would you grade Cam Thomas with the Bucks?
The crazy thing is, he was probably not as bad as Cole Anthony.
Yeah, it's tough. They're so similar in that they had that second game was just otherworldly, and everyone's like, "Holy crap!" Like, and I think both of them had people tweeting about them saying they were the next Dame or the Dame replace. Like they're just as good as Dame, but for way less. And then that was, I think, what cursed them and immediately took them back down to earth.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a time.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Gary Trent.
Oh man, my guy.
D minus because he actually turned around a tiny bit at the end. Not that it matters. Again, it was summer league basically.
I was gonna say, man, like he's
we gotta
the
go
oldest
F.
guy. Yeah, you gotta go F, man. He's the oldest guy out there. That sucks because I really thought Gary had something.
Yeah, we both had. I want to say 90% of the fan base had very high expectations for him. We're hoping he could be, your third, fourth best guy on this team, truthfully. And
yeah,
just ended up being basically unplayable. The on-off stuff awful since the start, since the jump. I mean, it's been terrible. And when it started out like that, I was like, okay, this happened last year. He'll get out of it, and then it just kind of continued and never really got back to.
Got like worse.
Yeah, it just never got better, and it was like, okay, I guess he just is bad, but pretty.
So
crazy
he's probably back next year, right?
I think so. I mean, he's on the
Right?
he's got the player option.
Yeah. So like he picks that up.
I think because maybe someone's willing to pay him just because of the his like he's had a couple of good years in recent memory.
But like it's just a minimum, right? Or like something very close to the min. So like what if he declines and just takes another minimum because it's a different team, different opportunity?
yeah, like that could happen. I mean, it's 3.8
So like
3.8 mil, so it's like slightly more than the minimum, I think.
right. I'm like my thing is, or my thought was like, do they give him, and I'm sure they will, like, right? Like, do they give him another shot next year to try to be a rotational player if he's on the team?
Yeah, I mean, if he's on the team and accepts the option and stuff, like, and it depends on who else you add to this roster, but I would hope so. I mean, I hope you at least give him a shot and see if maybe this was just a down year, and I don't know, but like,
so that's like what I'm.
The good was so good last year. It's not like this was just one tiny stretch that was good. It's like he had basically outside of the first 2 weeks of the season, he was phenomenal, and in the playoffs he was phenomenal, and he was.
Was he not the second best player on the team in the playoffs?
Hands
right?
down. Yeah, hands down.
And I think like at the bare minimum, he's been a rotational NBA player for every single year of his career until this past season. Like I don't think
we were not me and you specifically, but basically all Bucks fans were damn near willing to give him 10 to 15 million. Like, hey, if this guy commands most of the mid level,
it was all his. If I was in charge, yeah,
and I didn't feel bad about that. I didn't even really question it. It was like, nah, he's good. Like, keep him around. We have to, and yeah, it crazy how bad things turned. It is like looking back on it. I remember last year we were talking about, okay, well, what if Gary Trent, what if we lose him, and like who would we get in to replace him, and who would we use the mid-level on? And for me, the debate was kind of Gary Trent versus Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And I was like,
he got more though, right? He got more
yes.
than okay,
yeah. He got, well, let me check.
20, right? I think he got 20.
But I remember kind of like the contracts ended up being drastically different. Yeah, he got 15 mil a year.
Okay.
4 for 60. And obviously
Gary Trent. 4 for 60. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously Gary Trent, just the 2 years, 6 million, 7, whatever, with a player option. Everyone was expecting like, okay, he's just doing this to get bird rights, and then we're going to sign him to a big deal next year. But like, it's just crazy that, I mean, and again, I don't feel bad about this because it really did feel like a perfectly fine take at the time. But I was like, I would prefer 100%. Gary Trent. I would prefer Gary Trent over Nickeil Alexander-Walker. But I was like, if we can't keep Gary Trent, go after Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
That's the pivot, yeah.
And now it's like Nickeil Alexander-Walker averaging 20 a game, fantastic. And now Gary Trent is not even a rotational player. So just, again, crazy how things change, and it was definitely wrong on that one. So last but not least, Miles Turner.
Oh, man. Where are you at with this one?
I'm kind of still at the same spot I've been at for the past few months, where it's like, if they trade him, I won't be mad at all. If they bring him back, I won't be mad. I'll understand bringing him back with a new coach and trying to still make it work, because I do still think there's reason to believe he's still a good NBA player. And
like, it's, for me, it's so similar to Gary. Like, this guy was one of the best rim protectors in the league every single year of his NBA career, except this year.
Yep. Everything.
And again, that's
this year. The 2-point.
That's not to say, terrible. Man, yeah, everything was terrible. Like, and that's not to say, like you said, that he wasn't really bad, but
it was like the 3-point percentage was fine. Everything else was terrible.
Yeah.
And so I'm willing to give him another chance. Now the problem is the contract is huge and all that. So it's like, I don't know. It's going to be hard to trade him for much value because of the contract, unless you really can convince teams that this guy's the same player he was 2 years ago and stuff, the player that a lot of people would have wanted. So it's going to be hard to trade him. If you keep him, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's going to turn into, yeah, he's a fine big man, but we're paying him $30 million, and it's just going to be like, okay, like he's just way overpaid, and so you're in a bad position with it, obviously, but it's someone that I'm fine keeping around if that's the route they take, and I'm perfectly fine also trading if that's the route they take. I just, whatever happens, I'm like, I could talk myself into it being the right move, and talk myself into it working out, whether he's gone or whether he stays. So definitely annoyed though. It's just like a very disappointing season with him, and I know it obviously doesn't help losing Giannis, because that's what we brought him in here to do, was play next to Giannis. But I mean, even when Giannis was out there, it wasn't great. And even like just some of the, just watching it, it's like the rebounding stuff, the playing soft down low. And I know they didn't do much to get him looks outside of threes, but still, like, for him not to be able to do anything outside of catch and shoot threes on offense, like, I thought he was going to be a very versatile piece on both ends, and he turned out to be not. So,
yeah, no, man, I think D, this was tough.
I think,
and again,
I said D+ for mine.
Did you have D+? Okay, yeah. So I'd be at a D, man. Like, this was rough. Like you said, there was supposed to be a ton of versatility, and I think defensively it was a lot that had to do with coaching. And I think when they eventually moved him back towards the rim, it was a lot better, and the defensive stuff went up a bit. But like, it just wasn't enough to be good enough for what was going on offensively. Again, like, I don't know how much of that was his fault, but similar to Kuz, $25 million, and there was just nothing. It was like either you're alongside Giannis, or for him, it was either he was alongside Giannis and playing solid to okay, or he was just an absolute zero without him. So that was really rough, and definitely not what I was expecting. So you'd have to be around like a D.
Yeah. I could see a world where he comes back, new coach, looks closer to that, the Miles Turner that was with the Pacers, and, kind of becomes more of a fan favorite again, and people like him and stuff. But I just don't know if it'll ever be like he's worth a contract or ever anything like that. It probably at best gets to a point where, like, okay, he's a above average center and a fine player in this role, but I don't know. It just, after what I've seen this year, it's like I question whether he's ever going to be like a really good center going forward. So yeah, definitely a tough, that was one of the big, like the last two guys we talked about, Trent and Turner, two of the biggest reasons why this season, besides just injuries, two of the biggest reasons why this season went so poorly were those two guys who we expected to be really good top 3 to 4 players on this team, just did not play like it. So yeah. All right, that's our season grades. That took longer than I thought, so we're gonna have to save the awards for next time. Give me some more time to possibly think of some other ones. So we'll have a full episode on that next time we record. Anything else you want to talk about, mention before we go?
No, I think that's about it. Can't wait till we get like more of the coaching stuff comes out on, who they're looking at potentially, and, what names they're at least interviewing to give us an idea of, how wide that net is that they're casting.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it for us. Thank you all for tuning in. Follow myself at Nathan Marzion, Stev at Bucks_breakdown, and the podcast at BucksU_pod. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, Bucks and 6.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.